going on? Yo, what's going on? What's going on? So glad to have y'all with us right now. We got 435 people joining us right now live. I love it. I love it. I love it. And as always, per usual, what I love for y'all to do is let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from. I love reading when people are tuning in from all these different states in the world. What's going on? Let me say what's up to the first person to leave a comment. First person, Soldiers for God, saying, come on, amen. What's up, family? Mendez Love, God bless you as well. Somebody says South Carolina in the house. Okay, I'm in North Carolina, so not too far. Matter of fact, you're in South Carolina, you should check out Kingdom Church in York, South Carolina. Shout out to our brother out there, Pastor Jason. Noah says, what up, children of God? What it is. Vincent said, blessings, MOG, blessings, man of God. I love it. God bless y'all, man. I'm trying to keep up. Yes, today's segment is called Christian Film #1 on Netflix. Is that even possible? We're gonna find out today. I got my brother Chris Dowling in the house. Coffee with Diego, season 1, episode #3. If you've been following with my posting, you've been seeing some of the crazy pictures my brother Chris has. And one of the latest ones that I was able to share with y'all was him holding a cat and, had a scarf on. His hair was crazy. I don't know what was going on, but I told him he's got to explain it to us. So look, this is what I want y'all to do. Stop what you're doing. If this is something you guys are interested in, talking about Christian media, Christian film, and Christian music, like this stream and hit the share button. Hit the share button for me. That'll help so much if y'all stop what you're doing and hit the share. Matter of fact, if that's not clear, check this out. We even got some images here to let you know, like and share this stream. This will definitely help us out if you do that, man. So excited about the conversation today. Y'all been tuning in weekly as we've been diving into different topics. Los Angeles, LA in the house. What's going on, California? Matter of fact, Chris is from LA, right? From California. He just moved. Man, we got Arizona in the house as well. Somebody's mentioning Oklahoma in the house. Man, I love it. All right, y'all. So look, like I mentioned before, we're about to get started. This is Coffee with Diego, season 1, episode #3. Please like, please share. Also, I had to take this time to give a shout out to our partners. #1 is the Kingdom Coffee Co. Some of the best coffee. Matter of fact, my brother Chris got the coffee. I'm excited to hear what he thinks about it. I got my coffee coming in really soon. We were just brewing it. We got the creamer going in there. And the second of all, Kingdom Muzic is our second partner. So make sure you visit the kingdomcoffeeco.com or kingdommusic.org to learn more about these Christian partners of ours. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go, because I smell the coffee. I got to go get my coffee. I'm going to get my coffee. You get your coffee. We're about to get started. Let's cue the music and let's get it. Come on. Yeah. I'm getting my coffee in the house. Somebody says Chi-Town is in the house. Chicago is in the house. Texas is in the house. Look, if you're from Texas, Texas is way too big for you to just say Texas is check. Tell me what city in Texas you're checking in from. Come on, y'all. Somebody said, God bless you. Somebody says, give us a shout out. Okay, here's your shout out, Robbie. Big shout out to you, man of God. May God continue to bless you and to open the doors no man can shut. Let's get it. All right, y'all. Now, without further ado, as my coffee is coming, my dear wife is bringing me some coffee right now, Kingdom Coffee. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my brother, Chris. So Kingdom Music, KMF, Kingdom Coffee Community. Y'all give a warm welcome to my brother, Chris. Let's get it. Come on. Yeah.
What's up, my guy?
Man, what is going on, my brother? How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I got the business going.
My man's got the Kingdom Coffee in the house, yo. Ooh,
yeah.
What we got coming up now too.
Oh, I know the mug though.
Bro, the mug is coming for you. Now that you joined
Okay.
Coffee with Diego, the mug is gonna come to you. Bro, I gotta know. How do you like your coffee? Or like do you drink it black? What kind of coffee drinker are you?
Always black, man.
Oh, so
Yeah.
you're a real coffee drinker.
Yeah, I tried. I can't. You know what? Every time, like every once in a while, holidays right, I'll get festive and throw some like if they have like one of those festive creamers come out,
Yeah.
I'll give that a shot. But other than that, man, it's just straight black always.
Oh, okay. So you're not too much of a religious one. You're not too legalistic with your black coffee.
Nah, not too
You
much.
get the creamer going. That's what's up, my
Yeah,
brother. Man, so man, I mentioned it a little bit earlier before. I'm excited that you're here, but you're now in the great state of Texas, right?
the greatest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man, you converted.
Yeah, dude. Well, I mean, it's time to get out of California, man. And I'm not the only one that's happening with right now. And it's cool because it's a cool time for the industry to be shifting because it was like it was so coastal, so coast centric, and now like because of this, man, they've opened up Pandora's box. Everybody's starting to get out and get not just Texas, but get out everywhere. So now, like it is, you can do your work in the entertainment field. Texas, Carolinas, wherever you want to be. Fortunately, there's a lot of folks coming this way though, so got a good core group of dudes that are coming out to Texas to do it. So
Amen. Amen. We got Big Sam that said, sugar and cream. I am right there with you. I can't have my coffee black. I'm not there just yet. Hopefully soon. But my way to drink coffee, bro, is definitely with oat milk. I gotta have some type of oat creamer. That's the way to go, man. So if you haven't tried it, try it.
I will say, every once in a while, if I'm with somebody and they're doing the little frothy thing, the little bzzz guy, I'll
Yeah,
pour in.
you, bro. Come on.
Yeah.
Frothing is the way to go, man. So shout out to everybody tuning in right now. We got 320 people that are tuning in all across our Kingdom Music platform. And for those who are asking this question that Barlow is asking, what is the movie called? We are going to jump in on it. Just wait a little bit. We'll jump into the movie. Chris, man, one thing I love doing with the people that join me on the stream, before we even get to the media, before we get into what you're doing as far as filming, what I love to ask is, man, when did you come to Christ? What is your story? What is your testimony of what congregation? When did you have that realization or that experience of like, man, I need to do this for Jesus?
Yeah, dude. So it was pretty cool, man. I was out in LA. I got out in LA when I was 18, and got in right away with like a pretty cool Hollywood, Hollywood crowd, and we were doing fun things and hanging out and doing all that stuff that you do when you're 19 and 20 and 21 in LA for the first time. So, but one of my boys was just he was like, man, you just kind of seem like you're down or whatever. And I was like, nah, I'm cool. But he was like, nah, why don't you come check out church with me? So you know what? I'm one of those guys that like if I'm gonna jump into something, I go straight to the deep end. I'm not gonna
Mm.
stick my toes in and hang out. Like if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. So I said, all right, God, I'll give you 4 weekends where on Saturday night I won't go out, or I'll go out early enough where I'll come in that I can make church on Sunday. And sure enough, by the second week, I was in the men's group. Like, and then it was crazy. And then the second week, this dude, he was an actor, this guy named Reggie Davis. He showed up, and he was the smartest Christian I've ever heard talk in my life. And I was blown away just hearing him talk in the men's group. And I just said, man, can I buy you coffee? And I was like, I'm just going to ask you a ton of questions. And like, that's it. And so we went to a place called Aroma Cafe, and we had about a 3-hour coffee. And I literally went in there not believing, and I left like legit spirit hit gone and changed my life and started doing things walking out of that. Like I totally attest. I mean, obviously it's, God working through Reggie, but I mean, it was like divine timing and all that stuff. And it was a wrap. Like when I went back, I made the changes. I took myself into reading everything I could find. And it, again, you're a 20-year-old knucklehead, you mess up and do all that stuff. But at least, now I knew that when I messed up, I was like, all right, like this doesn't feel right. And man, so I went for it.
You said
Which is
you were in LA, you were 20 years old, and this guy named Reggie, you were so impacted by the knowledge of the word, and you asked him for coffee. You reached out to him and asked him for coffee, and you just unloaded for 3 hours, not believing in Jesus, and then you left that conversation believing in Jesus?
Yeah, I didn't even realize the coffee connection now until we're talking about it. Come on, coffee.
It's the coffee. Oh man, I'm about to say shout out to Reggie. He said shout out to coffee. Man, that
Yeah.
is impressive though. For real though, like when scripture talks about always be prepared, right? Always be ready. Shout out to Reggie, man, for being willing. And that's an encouragement for all the believers that are tuning in right now. Maybe Reggie didn't even know where you were spiritually as he was sharing his love and his zeal for the Lord. And it was because of that you were impacted and you reached out to him. I just love that, man. So are you and Reggie still friends?
Yeah, we're still friends. I mean, obviously, I didn't see him as much. You get married, and all that stuff happens. But it was cool because with that, my heart was kind of getting open to a church, and I just needed somebody to be able to hit me with my mind questions, and that's where Reggie really stepped up. You know what I mean? Where I was like, hey, I don't understand this. Help me explain this. Help me. And so that was key. It was funny then because later I got super hype and I went to be a counselor at the camp at this church I was at. And I met my wife there actually, which is pretty cool. But it was hilarious. So I ended up at this church, dude. It was pretty nutty. This camp we went to, man. They had the keynote speaker did spoken word to a Tool song, like Trent Reznor Tool. Yeah, and then check this out. And for worship songs, they sang "I Can't Get No Satisfaction." True story. Yeah, true story. And imagine John Lennon. Imagine there's no heaven.
Oh my!
It was so interesting that I found Jesus in this denomination. It was wild. And actually, funny enough, man.
Lyrics like Christian? Did they put
No,
Christian?
they didn't switch it up or anything. I was like, I'm listening to the Stones. I can't get no girly action, and all these kids are singing, and it was interesting, bro. I mean, I ended up getting blacklisted from the camp anyway. So
probably okay. Your wife there.
Yeah, my wife there, and we were both not invited back as counselors because we had different interpretations of what camp should be.
Yeah, I mean, how dare you expect there to be at a Christian camp to not have a song that says "Imagine There's No Heaven"? Like that's crazy, man.
Bro, and check this out. This is wild. The it was like if the dance gets a little too wild, then they stop the music, right? And if it gets wild again, they stop it again. If it gets wild the third time, that's the dance. That's it, right? They stopped the music twice at this thing, and both times it was the keynote speaker dancing with a student. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the double. It was wild, man. And then it was. Dude, we could do a whole podcast on my adventures at this camp. It was wild, bro.
Well, that's how you know God is real, right? Because you still that could have pushed you away from the Lord, but you still are standing today, accepting Jesus. Wow, man.
It was wild. But
so what I
digress.
You mentioned you're married to your wife and you have two girls, right?
Yeah, 13 and 10.
Oh, snaps. Getting into that teenage stage, bro.
Head on, baby.
Yeah. Don't take them to that camp. I'll tell you that much right now.
Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah. No. Man. So one thing I loved hearing, man, is just your passion for the Lord, hearing your story, because I think it's always encouraging, right? For those who are tuning in right now, and as we hear people's story and how they come to the Lord and how it happened. And I love hearing how it wasn't anything through this huge mega church with these lights. It was an intimate moment with coffee and a conversation, bro. And I just think that's beautiful. And that's the heart of this podcast, is having a digital coffee shop where we can just have conversation and encourage one another and encourage those who are tuning in. So obviously we understand you are a follower of Christ. You love Jesus. And I wanted to tap into to the family dynamic. And the reason why I wanted to speak about family was because as I was reading one of your interviews, and in one of your interviews, as you were getting interviewed, you said that one of your driving forces is your girls, your wife and your kids. And when you when you make a movie, when you're a part of a movie, whether it's directing, producing, writing, one of the driving forces is you want to make your girls proud. You want them to watch a movie and see like my dad was a part of that. Why is that important for you?
Yeah, man, I think a lot of it, we talk in those interviews talk about like legacy and just like, what I want to have like it's me, it's my last name, it's my parents before me, it's gonna be my kids after me. So it's like, do I want to be a positive into that force where, we're known for doing something, positive, or do I want to be somebody who's diving off and, is just kind of doing my own thing? And so I try to take into account. Now, it doesn't mean I'm only going to do, there's other movies outside of like not all faith-based movies, or I've done some other movies, documentaries and stuff with special needs. And, but yeah, man, I mean, like, that's the thing. Like when I'm with my daughters and like I look over and like one of their little friends is, wearing like one of the, like our bracelets from our movies. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
pretty rad. Like, and that's something they can look at him and say, hey man, that's my dad was a part of that. Or my dad did that. Like, I don't know how to beat that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'd
Mm.
much rather have that than a bunch of movies they can't watch. And then, hey, Dad, when I'm 19, can I watch one of your movies? I'd rather just watch it now. Let's just knock it out. Like, let's
Yeah.
get you involved. Let's get you involved. And I want them alongside me in the process. You know what I mean? Like, I got to kind of stiff arm them if it's some kind of crazy, wacky movie they can't watch. But if it's something I can do and I can bring them along on the journey, like, man, how much better is that? There's
Yeah.
nothing better. I mean, like, look, I love directing movies, I love writing movies, I love producing movies, but I love being a dad on top of all of that. You know what I mean? Like, that's paramount. When you become a father, if you're doing it right, I mean, your whole paradigm shifts, and that's the way it is. So
Yeah, no, and I love that you mentioned that in that interview, the paradigm shift when you became a father. What did you see that shift? What was it like making movies prior to having kids? I mean, I know you were a Christian, but what was one of the things that you're like, man, now that I have kids, now that I have these girls, like I no longer want to do X, Y, Z. What was that shift that occurred?
man, I mean, I don't know if there was like a huge shift, like where I was, because I was always, by the time I was really getting really into movies, it was funny because back when I was starting, I had a bunch of like faith-based scripts, but nobody wanted to see those yet because they hadn't made any money in the box office. So, which I can then take back, funny enough, like 5 or 6 years later and show the same people and they read it and they're like, this is amazing. Where'd you get this? I'm like, bro, you read it 5 years ago. You hated it. But,
Wow.
now it's a thing. Um, so, um, so I never really had, like, my first daughter was 6 months old when I was directing my first movie. And it was a comedy and it was, it wasn't faith or anything, but it was family friendly. And, so, I mean, she was there, she still bugs me because we did film a scene with her in it, but I cut that scene. So she was actually talking about that yesterday to me. She's like, I was almost in one of Dad's movies, but he cut me. I was 6 months old.
Oh,
Hey, I mean, dude,
man,
it's hard.
one more time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't care. You're 6 months old. You got, there's no nepotism here. She's got to earn her spot. If it wasn't good, it's
Oh,
going.
oh man. So is she gonna? Are there any plans of having your girls in film? Like, do they still want to do it?
I don't know. I told them if they really want to do it, they need to go like get into community theater and like really, try to do some acting before it's just like, hey, I just want to, be in a movie. Or like my one daughter right now is getting really into like trying to do like effects makeup, which is really cool. Like she's making her own like wounds and like
Oh, I
bruise
saw.
it like a fight. Yeah, like, and I'm like, dude, and she just was like, just got Vaseline and flour and her makeup and started whipping it up, and I was like, she's actually
Hmm.
doing pretty well. So, whatever, like I'll support them in whatever avenue they want to pursue. But if they really want to do acting, which I would rather than not, if they love it, they need to go do it and not just be like, hey, Dad, can I be in a movie so my friends can say I was in a movie or whatever? Like,
Yeah, yeah. Man, that's so cool though, bro. Like that is awesome for them to see their dad in the element, and then also being able to see how the dad is making an impact in this world through media. You were mentioning in that interview like how cool it was that your girls and their friends were still wearing the run the race bracelet, and you just see how the kids are aware of what's going on. Kids are aware of the movies. Kids are aware of TV, and they're aware of the messaging. And that's like part of the responsibility as you, as a creative and a director and a producer. How to create things that these kids are going to want to see. I always talk about how nowadays these kids that are growing up, they're gonna know what a quality film is, quality graphics are because of the access that they have with the internet, right? Like they know
Yeah.
what looks good and what doesn't look good. So my question for you as a creative and as a Christian creative, also involved in faith-based films, right? What have been some of the challenges in regards to either quality that you've seen as far as in
Mm.
these movies in the past several years?
Well, I mean, look, as a genre, I think what we and I think, man, maybe it was I read it like Andy Mineo or someone said this, but it was like basically like as Christians, if we agree with the message, then we will approve of the art or something like that, right? And it's like I think that we bump up against that where our audience is if again, if yeah, if the message is on point for them, then they'll overlook bad art in a sense. And again, I'm not the arbiter of what's good and bad. I think we're more prone to that here. So then that perpetuates more of the same. And so if that's the level that we're saying, hey, this is the level of what we need to make a good film, and people say, hey, we like it, well then you'll keep getting that. So I think we've done that for a long time. I think fortunately, man, I think we're branching out in a cool way where it's like there's a different palette for I think people are just this generation, this age is looking for a little more authenticity. And
Yeah.
and so I think there are spaces for that where it's like we're starting to, have, again, find things where it doesn't have to be so on the nose. It doesn't have to be a sermon. I mean, the flip side of that too is though, when you're doing a faith-based film, like marketing comes on and says, dude, you can't do this, you can't do this, take this out, like, and so it comes to a point where it gets so sanitized, it doesn't feel real. I mean, like I had people like in Run the Race, there's jump cuts and there's cheerleaders doing flip-flops while the football team is running out at the very beginning. I mean, we're talking like that, right?
Mm,
Well, obviously, when they're upside down for a split second, you can see their bloomers occasionally. And
mm,
marketing gets back. It's like, yeah, you're gonna need to cut that shot because we can see their bloomers. And it's just like,
mm,
really, man? Like, I mean, like, I understand there's certain things, certain parameters, but like it gets down to the degree where it's so small that it's like it just becomes so palatable and just kind of bland in a lot of ways. And
mm,
I think a lot of times we also follow the same faith films have the same kind of just basic setup where it's like, and I've got like numerous people in the industry who I've talked in the secular film industry. I've talked about this where it's like, they're like, look, it's, some guy who's fallen from his faith. He gets a sermon basically in the second act, and then the third act he comes back better than ever, and he's more, just Christian than ever. And that happens time and time again in our movies. And that's just not a very interesting story if we've seen it 1,000 times. And there's a lot of people like my buddies like that, and they're like, well, my best friend, he was like, he's an agnostic. He was like, well, I've never been the guy that had the faith, so automatically I'm not connecting to that character. So it's like,
mm,
to me, even like the small, like, so like in Where Hope Grows, like I made the choice that the lead character, we start out, we just see that he struggles with faith. I don't know if he was a Christian beforehand that fell back, or like he's just, faith is this big question to him and he's never had it.
yeah,
But we get to go on his faith journey. And I was very intentional with that. And actually, like I said, my buddy who I was with this, he was like, okay, he's like, I can get behind that. And he loved the movie. He's like, because I've got questions about faith and I can start
mm,
at that starting point with him.
yeah.
So I
You
think a lot of,
mentioned this before. You mentioned it was this whole inclusivity or exclusivity, and I thought that was interesting. Though a lot of these faith-based films have great intentions behind them, right? It seemed like they're geared towards those who are already a Christian. And I love the quote that you had because it's really challenging. The a lot of the movies that have been out. You said one of the problems you've seen. You said with a lot of faith-based movies, oftentimes it feels like you have to already be on the team, already be a Christian to enjoy the movie. I want to have an inclusive story where people from all walks of life can have a window in to a Christian worldview. And I love that because I'm like, man, like that's the gospel, right? Like that is
yeah,
gospel where it's I don't want to just coddle believers and just share something to encourage those who just come in and just receive and not go. Like, right, what good is the gospel for a Christian if all you do is sit around Christians and never sit around those who are the unbelievers, right? I feel like that's what
yeah,
you're doing with the films. You don't want the unbeliever to automatically be put off and then miss it's the whole Christian perspective in the movie, right?
Yeah, I do 100%. I mean, again, as humans, we are looking, I think we all want the same thing, right? Doesn't matter what our religious belief is, our sexuality, or our gender, whatever. Like, we all want to know that we have purpose, that we're
Mm.
loved, and that, our, and that we, we have certain responsibilities. Like, there's certain things that are just innately built in us. Now, obviously, we believe it's through God, right? Like, that God has put that on our hearts, right? Um, and so the whole world, that they all can tap in. And so if you, like you were saying, exclusive versus inclusive, like, if I can make a project inclusive and I can bring in that, using that avenue, and then show them, a Christian worldview inside of that and what God can do for them, that, to me, that is so much more effective than saying, hey man, here's the sermon, this is the movie about this. And again, there's a time and place for that, by the way. Everyone's got their lanes. And so,
Yeah.
like, yeah, there's the definitely, like, the church, rah-rah thing where it's like, hey man, this is the movie about prayer. Did you go see it? And maybe the movie's good, maybe it's bad, but at the end of the day, you go, man, you know what? That challenged me in my prayer life, or that really inspired me to do better in my prayer life. Like, I get it. Like, those movies are needed. They're just not, those aren't my kind of movies. Those aren't the
Right.
movies that I'm drawn to.
We do need that. We see that in the body of Christ, and we see that throughout the Bible. We have times where, like, we're in First Corinthians, it's addressed to the believers and challenging believers. So yeah, we do have these movies. Let's say some Kendrick Brother movies where
Yeah.
they're either encouraging the believer, so that he can go out and be a light among there, or like you said, specific topics about having your war room, right? In that prayer. And so we do need that. And I think it's very true. There's a time and place for that. I can watch some of these films and be encouraged by it. But one of the things that I really loved about you as a producer, director, and writer was, as I was looking at the movies you've been a part of, one of the things I've seen is that you you go on topics that are a bit challenging, difficult to talk about. And I love how you push the envelope in that, right? And as I was looking at some of these movies, even way back from 2016, when one of the movies was called Priceless, and it was about sex trafficking. In 2016, another one called Asperger's Are Us, and a little bit for those who haven't don't know about this. It's about four friends with autism on the autism spectrum, and they were able to bond through comedy, through humor, and you touch on that topic, and then you touch on where hope grows, which personally it hits home for us. My niece had Down syndrome, and then when I saw this, I'm like, man, this is so beautiful. So for those who don't know, check out Where Hope Grows. And a bit behind it, 2014 says a self-destructive former pro baseball player is given a serious lesson in life with courage when he befriends a grocery store clerk with Down syndrome, who he called Produce. And
Yeah.
why are you so led towards these type of topics and these stories?
Yeah, well, Where Hope Grows is kind of funny because it's kind of like that art imitating life, imitating art, or whatever. It's like, I really didn't have anybody in my life with special needs, especially not Down syndrome, and I didn't know, I didn't know anyone about, it, didn't know anything, but I was doing this story about a guy who seemingly had it all, baseball player, had the money, had women, and had fallen back down to earth, and and he was, for all intents and purposes, you would look at him and go, that guy, he gets it, right? But he's happy. So I was like, well, what happens if that guy got introduced to childlike faith in his 30s or 40s, and then how could that change and rechart his path? And so I was like, well, I needed a harbinger of this childlike faith. So I was like, why not have a individual with Down syndrome to be that person, right? Somebody the world would look at and go, dude, that guy's stupid. That guy's an idiot, right? And so that's the whole crux of it. And so, but in doing this project and writing the character and then getting to know David DeSanctis so well, again, I text that actor with Down syndrome. We text every day. We are part of the Wolf family. So that's some family he created. We were part of the Wolf motorcycle gang before that, and also the Wolf Rider. So we have this revolving wolf theme, which is because my last name is Dowling, which rhymes with howling. So he decided we're Wolf brothers.
Yeah,
but I love that guy, man. I mean, I toured the U.S. with him, speaking at schools, churches, film fests, and it impacted me in such a way that now I'm on the board of special needs groups. I went into special needs ministry. I went back to my church and I was like, there's a
Wow.
special needs ministry here, but like I'm not really involved. But like I just wrote this movie and I'm talking to all these families. So I was like, all right, I'm going to get involved. And I got involved. My kids got involved, and it's honestly it's really changed my life. Like I would say, if there's any topic that is more important to me or most important to me, it's the special needs community. So I'm always writing things. I mean, almost any movie I write now, like I try to throw in a character with Down syndrome.
Mm.
Just
And
because.
actually,
And I
Hope Lives, I saw that's the first, was it the first American or first English speaking film that starred a person with Down syndrome?
Yeah, I mean, according to the Hollywood Reporter, so I'll take it. But it was even super cool because David, the actor with Down syndrome, um, he never he had never acted before, which is
Mm.
crazy when you think about it. Because just even taking any person and saying, "Hey, this is your first movie and you're going to be starring in it," it's so hard to do. And this guy just crushed it. I mean, he was so good. So,
Yo, for
anyways, but
watching and you want to watch it, there's a clip of it. If you look Where Hope Lives, I think it's titled like The Casting or something, and you can see it.
oh yeah, Where Hope Grows. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Where Hope Grows. I'm sorry. Oh, and that's the name of the movie for the person I was asking, Where Hope Grows. Yeah, I loved it, man. And you also have the dude from Cobra Kai or
Or
Karate Kid.
Karate Kid, as we like to call it. Yeah, no, yeah, Billy's been a buddy of mine forever, and so we needed that role. So I gave him a call. I was like, "Dude, come on and play this character, man." So he showed up and is awesome. I always try to hire my friends, man. Why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you got people you love and love to be around, why wouldn't you hire them?
Yeah, no, I love that, bro. And the way that I first got connected with your work was with, for those who might not know this movie, Run the Race. Robbie Tebow came to Miami, and my friend Robert and we went to the premiere in Miami, and Robbie Tebow, Tim Tebow's brother, um, I believe was your producer of the film. The
Yeah,
movie was, bro, like I remember my wife and I went there, and we can be tough critics in regards to food. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And like we just seen how it's gotten so much better. We joke around this thing we call the cheese factor.
yeah,
And bro, like I love the opening scene, bro, especially because you gave
yeah.
a salute to Christian hip hop. You had Reach Records, Andy Mineo coming in hot on the big screen. And I thought that was so cool that you had that. The casting, I believe the casting was amazing. Those two boys, man, and you covered tough topics, man. Like tell us a little bit about Run the Race.
Yeah, the first thing I would say about Run the Race is my least favorite titled movie of all time. And I don't even like saying the name Run the Race, to be honest with you. It's so pedestrian and so strange for our football movie, but you know what? Here we are. But I do love the movie. And I am, dude. I was really, it was really cool, man. We got to try something, like you said, to open the movie, which it opens on like a 3.5 minute oneer. So it's just one continuous shot that takes you through like three locations with, probably 30 or 40 people. So that was pretty cool that we got to do that. Cause again, we wanted to have a certain quality of this film that a lot of Christian films maybe don't have. Secondarily, Chris Kimlin, the DP, who also does like the Irwin Brothers stuff, we decided to kind of shoot it without lights. So it almost, I mean, like they, yeah. So we only had like a small little um, uh, like LED board to just kick off some light every once in a while, but everything else was practical. So like we just mapped out everything and put like the lamps in the right place and made sure we hung stuff. And so it was actually pretty, and we didn't really talk about that much, but it was really impressive feat that Chris pulled off to make it look so beautiful without actually having the capacity to really light it up. But again, just wanted to do different stuff. It was funny also because talking about the soundtrack and stuff, they really pushed me to fill it totally full of CCM. And I was like, nah, this isn't that movie. I said, I'm gonna put, Andy in there because I just think that dude's as talented as it gets. And then I think we also had like maybe a KB song or something else there, which I also appreciate. Great. Oh, and Lecrae Sidelines was in there too. So like we got some of the Reach guys were in there, which is awesome. But everything else, man, I was like, let me go dive in and just set the tone with some different, it was funny music. And so I still remember one of the producers who will remain nameless, who was telling me, he said, "You are absolutely wrong about this. Our audience will not respond unless there's CCM." And I said, "Just let me test this thing out
Mm,
here." So we did our first test, and when you do the first test, they get the cards back, and we
yeah.
had so many cards that wrote back and said, "The music is killer." And he was, to his credit, he was like, "You know what? You're right. We're going to leave the music as it is." But it just tells you, man, like that was a way of separating it from a regular faith film, right? Like giving it a little more
Yeah. And the
breathing
thing
room.
that's
Yeah.
gonna really kill for next time, for everyone that's tuning in right now, 250 in here right now, KMF community, Kingdom Music community. The only thing you're missing in your future films is some Kingdom music, right? So we
Oh,
gotta,
it'll be there. It'll be there.
hey man, come on, somebody. Man, so look, Run the Race, big fan of it. Loved what y'all did with it. Love the casting. Love the DP, man. I just loved it. I wish it was in theaters longer. And I talked to Robbie as well. I'm like, man, how can we help? How can we help? The goal is really to partner with people like you, films that you guys are making, and continue to help promote these type of real stories. You mentioned when asked about the films that you work on, one of the things you kept saying was real stories, real people. Like that was just an important thing. Like what you get drawn to is when you get all these scripts, the one that stands out to you the most is when it's based on the real story. Why
Yeah,
is that
for sure.
important? Why does that stand out?
Oh, I mean, I'm always going to be attracted to that because there's something so exciting about reality, right? Like, and just that these are real stories that people who, triumphed over something. Like, there's something magical about the human spirit, and and we can invent whatever we want. But to me, to be able to say, hey, like, watch what this person really did. I mean, that's incredible. But on top of that, man, I'm always drawn to characters anyway. So like, a lot of times when you go into pitch stuff, they're like, oh, we need something concept. And it's like, it's like this real crazy, intricate story and this. And I'm like, it doesn't appeal to me, man. Like, I just want some real characters having real dialogue. And I mean, I think it's kind of the same thing with people that even like reality shows. It's like, if you get involved with the characters early on, you'll watch them do anything. So like, I mean, people that watch the Kardashians for 13 years, whatever, it's like, they started liking them and they just started wanting to watch them eat dinner or do whatever they're doing, right? But like, so what if I make characters that you like, but they actually go do something legit, right?
Yeah.
And they have conversations that sound like real people having conversations. That was my biggest thing, man. Some of the early, especially faith movies I'd watch, I'd be like, no one's ever had this conversation in the history of the world. Like, are you listening to what it's saying out loud? Like, this is literally a conversation that's never been had. And so, like, I think trying to up the dialogue and make it feel, again, gritty, real lived, feel real lived in, gritty, all that stuff. Like, I think that's where, we should be headed. I mean, that's what I find more engaging, which is
Amen.
also why I love documentaries.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen, bro. I love that, bro. Somebody, Charlotte said, real stories, real people, testimonies. Amen. I think that's why I'm drawn to it as well, because when it's based on a real story, then you get the reality of it. You get not just the fluff in the story, but you get the reality of it, like what's real. So I love that. And that's kind of what you were sharing about this movie that we're going to talk about. Everyone keeps asking about this, is what is the movie that went #1 on Netflix? So for those who are tuning in right now, we're about to jump into this film. So what I want y'all to do, share this stream right now. Take a couple of seconds, share this stream. We want more people to know about Christian media, real stories, testimonies, right? So share the stream. And we got my girl Marcella. What up, sis? She always shares the stream. So y'all follow the lead, share the stream. Let's let more people know about the Christian film that's out on Netflix. So, man, talking about real stories, real people, you mentioned how as you're reading all these scripts, this one script just stood out to you. Tell us about that, man. Tell us about that process of running into Blue Miracle script.
Yeah, I mean, it was there's a producer named Darren Mormon that I worked with on Run the Race, and he sent over. He said, "Man, I got the story. It's pretty wild. It was a book proposal." And he's like, we were thinking about turning it into a movie. You want to have a look at it and see if you can crack it? He sent it over and I read it. It was like legitimately like the greatest David versus Goliath story since David versus Goliath. I don't know. But it was, it was nuts. I mean, like, you've seen it, right? Like it's a group of orphans that have never fished before that go to the Super Bowl of fishing and take on literally 900 of the top fishermen in the world. And I don't want to spoiler alert it or anything, but yeah, but I mean, but that's the setup, right? Like,
Yeah.
how do 5 orphans who've never fished go up against the most high tech, instruments and boats and captains and crews,
Yeah.
900 fishermen? It didn't make sense. And what they did, well, I'm already spoiling it. What they did when they won it is, then they pay off they fix their orphanage and they open an orphanage for girls. Like,
Yeah.
dude, I mean, I was just like, okay, this is a movie. Like, I mean, how could this not be? Like, if it wasn't real, if that was just a made up movie, that was a good movie. But it's made up and it's all driven by, this pastor who's got this paternal love for all these kids that are his orphans. And so, yeah, man, so it was remarkable when I read it.
Continue to talk about this movie, which is called Blue Miracle. I have the trailer here to kind of give an idea of what Chris is talking about. So for those who are tuning in right now, the number one movie, it hit number one on Netflix, being a Christian film, right? With a Christian worldview, a real story, talking about testimony, is called Blue Miracle. Here's the trailer. In case you've never heard of it, check it out.
Crazy things happen all the time, right?
Are you using this tournament to save your orphanage?
This story, it's so unbelievable that if it weren't true, you could never write a movie about it.
Omar, he's running out of options. His whole foundation is about to be ripped out from underneath him.
You have the chance to make all that money at once. Omar, all you have to do is catch a fish.
I don't know the first thing about fishing.
Welcome to Bisbee's Black and Blue, the Super Bowl of fishing tournaments.
It's amazing how you can touch the life of a kid doing something very small. You're gonna reel in the fish.
Me?
True stories resonate with audiences in a way that fictional stories don't.
It'll be fun.
Man, you really crazy way.
It's about personal evolution. It's about faith. God doesn't always answer our prayers the way that we think he should. And no matter what happens, you'll always be my sons.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the Netflix Film Club channel.
Bro, so that was Blue Miracle. Man, this movie, dude.
I've never seen that. That was kind of cool.
Yo, man, my wife and I, we were watching it. We saw that it was on Netflix, and I'm like, talk about light in a dark place. Being able to have a film like this in there, man. So before I even get into it, man, so you saw the script, you fell in love with it because it's a real story. It's a David and Goliath type story where, as y'all were watching in the trailer, it's these orphans that are there that are not trained. You got this guy Omar, and I think this was based in was it Puerto Rico? Was it based in Puerto Rico?
It's oh my god.
Was it? I don't think it was in Mexico, right?
It's not Puerto Rico. I just totally drew a blank. Why I
Wait, were you even a part of this movie?
Yeah, dude. Gosh, I don't know, bro. I can't think right now.
Somewhere with water.
Huh?
Somewhere with water.
I mean, we shot it in the Dominican Republic, but it was
Yeah, it was Mexico. Let me see. Oh no, yeah, Cabo San Lucas.
San Lucas. My mind is in California. I kept saying I was thinking.
Yeah. So these people are untrained, have no idea, and then there's this, which I had no idea was even a real thing. There's like a Super Bowl for fishing. They registered because they needed to pay off some type of a rent or something, right?
No, what happened was, like, to actually go fish this tournament, it costs like $75,000 to enter for the weekend, right? And so none of the local people can ever do it, right? And there's a huge Hurricane Odile comes through in 2014, and it basically wipes out the Baja Peninsula, okay? And so they thought they were going to cancel this tournament, but then they had this idea, hey man, like, what if we did a thing where it was called the Hookup Initiative, and people could kind of donate money, or if they would hire a local crew to put money back in here, they could donate that could come on that boat. So somebody donated to let these orphans, because they would never get another chance to ever do this in their life, to go on the boat. I mean, obviously no one expected them to win or anything. It was just like, just go and experience something you will never experience again in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved it. And then even the cast on it. I mean, we've seen Dennis Quaid in I Can Only Imagine, and he killed it as well. Like he's able to, I mean, he's able to play
He's good.
he's able to play that role of like a jerk really well, you know, and he killed it in that movie. Omar, I believe his name is Omar. He played Papa, I think. They call
Jimmy Gonzalez.
Yeah, he killed it, man. It was
Yeah, he
just
was great.
the casting of the kids too was very realistic. I just love the production all around, not just because it's given a Christian pass, but it's just a solid movie. So for those who are tuning in, we're talking with Chris Dowling, and the movie we're just talking about is called Blue Miracle. If you haven't seen it, go check it out on Netflix. So Chris, man, tell me a little bit behind the scenes as far as how did it get to be number one on Netflix? I mean, for people that watch this, that's crazy to be number one.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm obviously having Dennis Quaid did not hurt, and Netflix, it was cool, man. They really got behind it, and they just, I think people are craving inspirational stuff right now. Obviously, it's been a wacky and crazy last 2 years, and so I think you're finding. I mean, even when we go pitch stuff right now, it's almost like the Ted Lasso effect, where everyone's like, "What's our Ted Lasso? We want something kind of aspirational, and everybody's happy." And so like, yeah, they just said, hey, this is a good. I think what it comes down to is Netflix might not jump and push a on the nose Christian movie per se, necessarily, but this one, as we talked about, was a quality movie that had a Christian worldview inside of it. Like I think of like The Blind Side, right? Like it was like just a good movie that had a Christian worldview inside of an otherwise secular movie. And so it's like they got behind it, they understood it, they knew there's an audience for it, and then so they put it out there. And when they put it out there, and it found the audience. Yeah, we were the most liked movie on the entire platform the first week or two we came out, and then we stayed on number 2 in the world for 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. So wow. Yeah, it was super cool. And it's funny. It's funny too, because like when you do the math on Netflix, like I've had probably 4 or 5 movies in the theater, right? Like, but it's, if the movie does $7 million, maybe 700,000 people saw it. And, so in that case, with Netflix being number one, you have to assume that at this point, I mean, I think we were guessing maybe 100 million eyeballs have seen it. I mean, if 25 to 30 million, households watched it, it's a family movie. I mean, so there's probably 100 million people that have seen that movie, and that's crazy to think about that.
Yeah, that's crazy. And to even think of, I mean, one thing I commend about y'all is also the fact that you guys are willing to go on Netflix and be on there. And though we know that there's a lot of darkness and a lot of negativity that's on Netflix, it's films like y'all's, like Blue Miracle, that are needed. And when they see it number one, there's so many people that are unbelievers that are catching this film. One of my questions for you, being a Christian and being involved in media and being willing to be on places like Netflix and produce these type of films, how do you keep your conviction and how do you continue to walk in integrity as you're continuing to be involved in some secular arenas?
I think it goes back to authenticity. I mean, like I was always in a Hollywood crowd, but I was always respected. Even, I didn't throw around my religion on people and I didn't browbeat anybody, but like everybody knew who I was. And so, I mean, I've got plenty of friends that are not believers that would come to me for advice or prayer, even like just throwing stuff out there in tough times. And like, I think that's what it was to me. That's always what it's about. It's how you carry yourself and how you connect with people. And if I've also had the opposite, man. I know I've had friends tell me that they saw, and this is a true story. So my buddy told me this, that he was working on a Christian faith-based movie. He wasn't a Christian. And he said he's also worked on porn movies. And he said he found that the producers on the porn movie were more respectful to their cast and crew than the Christians were on the Christian movie. And so so that painted, I mean, honestly, so he had painted that whole, like, so when he met my family, and he was like, dude, I don't have a lot of experience with Christians, but he's like, I can tell you the experience I've had is, is bad. And so, I mean, I just try to, man, have a humility about it. And, people know where I stand. And if they want to, come to me, that's cool. I mean, I worked on a reality show called Repo Games. We didn't talk about, but it was one of my favorite things we ever did. It was the largest pickup in the history of Spike TV when Spike TV was a thing. But it was a game show, and it was a real live repossession. And so we would run up, and the people come out. We'd have the car on the truck, and they're all mad. And we'd let them play a trivia game show in the front yard against the Repo Man. And if they won, we paid off their car, and they owned it. And if they lost, well, it was a live repo, so we pull it. And when we would go out, so we were going to all these different cities, and like I was the only Christian in the entire crew, and maybe the only married guy. But anyways, long story short, where they put us, like legitimately, like across the street was a strip joint, right? And so every night we get back, but these guys would always go for an hour to whatever is Joe's Crab Shack first, because I would meet them there, hang out for an hour, and then they would go do their thing, and I would go back to the hotel. But it was like, I said, hey, if you guys want to hang out, like, let's go hang out here. And so it wasn't like a, condemning thing, but they knew where I stood, if that makes sense. So it's like, I wasn't like going to chase them and throw Bibles at them, but at the same time, they're like, dude. And I had numerous of the younger guys come to me and say, hey, man, like they got it. And, I think in the movies now I'm in a fourth position of a director, so I get to kind of run my sets, and it should be enjoyable, and it should always be respectful. And we should be having fun with each other. And if we're not doing that, what are we doing? So it's like, I think it's all about authenticity and how you carry yourself. And so, again, I've just got a bunch of relationships in Hollywood from the 20 years of being out there that, I mean, that's what it is. Oh man, if that is one just saying she loved Repo Games, I love that, because that show is near and dear. It should be brought back.
Hey man, that's awesome, bro. Well, shout out. But actually, about you talking about going back, one thing I saw was I had no idea you were on this one show called Days of Our Lives. Bro, I had no idea you were on Days of Our Lives, bro. How long ago was that?
Ooh, I'm gonna date myself. How long? That was like 20. Oh man, dude, my brain is mush. I don't know, man. It was like probably 2006, maybe. I was Chaz the party guy, and I worked at the what do they call it? I hung out at the party house, and we had guns in our drawers and drugs everywhere, and the college kids would come over, and I shot Peter Brady. It was total typecast.
Making Christian movies.
yeah. But yeah, that was fun. I mean, I had a blast doing that, but like at the same time, man, I just didn't like acting that much. I mean, I liked it. It was fun, but like the whole, it's a grind. And it was like, you're driving to auditions and you're doing all this and that. And like, I don't know, man, it just wasn't for me. So I'd much rather create,
Yeah, man, I appreciate your time here, bro. I want to close out with asking you some questions, my brother. For those who are tuning in right now, the movie that we were talking about that hit #1 on Netflix is called Blue Miracle. And at the end of the show, I'll make sure to show the trailer once again. We're here with Chris. Chris, being involved in the industry, producing, directing, and writing faith-based films. For those who are tuning in right now, and I always get these questions with people that are involved in the industry. They have questions. What is an advice you can give to a Christian, right, that wants to get involved in producing or directing, specifically for the faith-based industry?
Wow, that is, I mean, there's never been a easier or better time, I guess, to try to do that, because it's happening in so many places, like, in Atlanta, in Nashville, even down in Birmingham, they're shooting stuff, lots in Oklahoma right now. So, I mean, my advice is always like, just get involved. And to be honest with you, like, I wouldn't say just go get involved with a Christian film, because you could be waiting forever for that to happen. You're going to first just, I mean, become a PA, like a production assistant. Like, you are the lowest rung on the ladder. But I mean, this is what it's all about in this industry. I mean, it's a lot about connections, right? So it's like, you start out as a PA, but like, if you're legit and you're into it, like all those other people that are also PAs at that time, if you guys keep advancing in your career, like I look back at the people that I was PAs with 10 years later, they're running production companies, they're agents, they're managers, you know what I mean? Like, so 20 years, you know, they're CEOs and they're putting money into movies. So it was like, you know, if you're cool, again, it goes back to being a good person though, be somebody that people around, and also don't be a PA that, like, is too good for it. Like there's definitely PAs on the set where you're like, someone's like, hey, could you go grab something coffee? And they're like, nah, you know, I'm better than that. No, it's not. Like, just go do it. And then, you know, and then the next time you'll be, you know, an associate producer, or, you know, you'll move the chain if you're really trying to be a part of it. But if you're just there just to take up space or, you know, check off a box, then I mean, that's not going to help you. Now, obviously, you know, to seek out faith-based films that's super cool. It's just going to be much harder. And to be honest with you, there's probably a bigger ceiling on that too, only because a lot of the faith-based films stay very low budget, so they're not hiring as many positions. And, you know, you know, I don't know, man. But like again, if you jump into a secular film, like you can learn on a secular film, and you know, it doesn't mean you have to do secular films. I mean, I wouldn't advise you to go do something that's going to scar you, or that you just don't, you know, you're opposed to from a moral standpoint. But certainly don't limit yourself to a faith film, because you could be limiting yourself and hanging around forever waiting for that moment, and it might not happen.
Yeah. Brian, one thing Brian Trejo says a lot of is let your character make room for you. And I think that's so true. Like with what you're saying, when you're around people as a believer, right? Let the character that reflects Jesus, right? As we're following Jesus, wherever you are, let your character make room for you. You know, like you were mentioning about, you know, going to the lowest position, be humble enough to take the lowest position, start off somewhere and build your way up, you know, and as it says in Colossians, you know, do it unto the Lord. So whatever it is you're doing, is if you're helping out in production, carrying things, do it unto the Lord, do it with excellence. Another question that we needed to ask, I reached out to one of my friends, her name is Talia, and she's an actress, and she wanted to ask you a question. So here's Talia, check it out.
Hi everybody, I am Talia Alanis. I am an actress and a host. Hi Diego, and hi Chris. And I have a question for you. Do you think there is enough representation of many cultures and diversity in the faith-based industry?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I would say the answer is probably not as much. I mean, I think we're pretty, again, I think it goes back to being stuck kind of in the same stories and the same, you know, tropes of stuff, where it's like we kind of recycle the same things in the faith community. Probably more so than, like, you know, just obviously there's a huge push right now for diversity and like just film in general. I mean, you know, it actually is, it is a number one thing in a lot of networks and movies and stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, honestly, the faith community is probably, you know, they're probably hanging just a little step back on that. It's just the way it is. Like I mean, you probably see this too, but like the guys in charge of a lot of things, and I know a lot of them, there's certain people that it's kind of like the dinosaur mentality. Like, it's, you know, they're doing the same thing. A lot of it's the marketing side, I think, but like they're doing the same thing they were doing in 1997 or whatever Fireproof came out. I don't know, 2001, 2003, but like they're still doing that same stuff. You know what I mean? And then there's some great guys that are like innovators that are really thinking of new ways to get the stuff out there. And people that are pushing different, you know, genres. I think I was talking to you earlier about like The Remaining is a faith-based horror film that's out right now that I wrote. It just got put back on PureFlix, but it's like, I was really happy that Rich Peluso said, hey, let's try something different. And so I think as people start exploring that and trying different things, like I think you'll get different and more stories. But, you know, again, it's like, I always tell anybody, like, if, you know, like Talia, she's great, and she could create her own story. Like, what a great time for anyone that feels like they are, I don't know, marginalized or underrepresented, to create their own stories, because now is the time that people are looking for those. So I would say, man, if you've got a story to tell, like lean into it right now. There has never been a better time. And again, the movies are getting more and more of those are getting financed. And I love there's like, man, like there's, stories and stuff too, where they're trying to be more like The Chosen, right? Like it's like they're trying to have a little more accurate portrayal than like Surfer Jesus did, right? Like so, I think people are doing the right things, but it's it's a slow grind a lot of times to make any change or so. But again, if I always say, man, if you've got a story, it's write it, get it out there.
Yeah. Amen,
and real quick, and by the way, as with any faith audience, if that story movie comes out, like then you gotta go support it. So like if you're like, hey man, I really want to see, more Black, actor Christian, lead Christian films. Well, when that movie comes out, man, as an audience, we need to go support it. Or guess what? Like, that's the way the market goes. So if that thing comes out, that's why War Room was so great, right? Like it was like, oh, it's because I heard, the talks. It was like, oh, this is never gonna work. And then suddenly it was like, oh, whoops, it worked like way better than we could have possibly expected. So then that should open the door for other projects in that vibe. But had the audience not shown up for that, I mean, it would just be a little blip and a footnote, and then it's done. But there's other, I mean, like, yeah, and there's some creators out there right now. Anna Bay, she's a producer that's African American that's doing it. And obviously, TD Jakes is doing stuff. Devon, I mean, Franklin. I mean, like, there's definitely people out there that are, finding the right stories to tell. So,
yeah.
And I mean, again, it's one of those things, man. I love it. I mean, I try to write characters of all different, flavors in my stuff. So,
man. Amen, man. Well, I appreciate you, Chris, for taking some time to jump on here with us. And you is anything that we should be on the lookout for coming out from you. I know before you were like, I can't share like any trailers or anything like that, but what is something that we can expect from you?
Man, I do have a movie. We just were working out the distribution. Man, you'll love it too because it's so music centric. It is a karaoke comedy featuring Shonda Pierce. Dude, it's funny, man. I'm super pumped on it. It was kind of one of the ones that got shelved during COVID, where we had a theatrical deal that was supposed to happen in October, and all that's kind of gone away. There's some super fun cameos in there. We got like redneck Michael W. Smith singing Freebird, and there's some fun things in there, but it's really cute. It's really good, man. Shonda, she shines in it. I don't know when it's coming out yet because we're still like figuring out the distribution on it, but super pumped on that one. Just wrapped another movie too that, I mean, I guess this point we haven't even announced the name or anything. So that one's just, that's a over coffee, face-to-face conversation for you and I one day. But anyway, so there's and then there's things in the pipeline, man. There's 3 scripts I've already commissioned on, and we've turned them in, and so those are going to be shot, next year. So including, which should be fun, a musical with Steve Barnett and Alan Powell, the guys that did A Week Away. If you saw that on Netflix. So I've got one. Ours is more adult. Theirs was built for the teens or preteens, but yeah, it's a musical. Man, it's a good one. So that one is already turned in, and I think we're going to shoot it next year. So stuff's kind of popping in place.
Bro, well, keep us in the loop. We're here to support you as well. In regard, Kingdom Music is really, the community at Kingdom Music is really well at supporting whenever we release videos or music. So we would definitely love to be in the loop with any films that are in the works or coming out soon, so we can help promote that as well. Chris, man, I appreciate you for taking some time out here all the way from Texas.
Oh man,
God bless you, bro. And we'll talk to you soon, man.
All right, thanks, buddy.
Man, so if you're just tuning in right now, I see some people that are just jumping on. Thank you for jumping on, even though it's late right now. Thank y'all for jumping on. I was talking to Chris Dowling, who is a writer, producer, and director. And the number one movie that we were referring to is called Blue Miracle. If you were wondering what the movie was called, on Netflix, it's called Blue Miracle. If you missed the trailer, like I promised y'all before, I'm going to bring it back for y'all because I saw people saying, hey, tuning in from Louisiana, Austin, Texas is just tuning in right now. So look, I'm going to run this trailer back. And what I want you to do is not just enjoy the trailer, but then go watch it. Have a date night, bring the family around and watch the movie. It's called Blue Miracle. Here's the trailer, and then we're going to close out Coffee with Diego. All right, y'all. So this is the movie. It's called Blue Miracle. Check it out on Netflix. Let's get it.
Crazy things happen all the time, right?
Are you using this tournament to save your orphanage?
This story, it's so unbelievable that if it weren't true, you could never write a movie about it.
Omar, he's running out of options. His whole foundation is about to be ripped out from underneath him.
You have the chance to make all that money at once. Omar, all you have to do is catch a fish.
I don't know the first thing about fishing.
Welcome to Bisbee's Black and Blue, the Super Bowl of fishing tournaments.
It's amazing how you can touch the life of a kid. Doing something very small. You're gonna reel in the fish.
Me?
True stories resonate with audiences in a way that fictional stories don't.
It'll be fun.
Man, you really crazy way.
It's about personal evolution. It's about faith. God doesn't always answer our prayers the way that we think he should. And no matter what happens, you'll always be my sons.
Yes, y'all. So that was Blue Miracle. Check it out on Netflix. I love seeing the comments. People are saying that they've already seen it. Another one said, I'm going to definitely check it out. My parents are pastors. We're going to get the church on. I love it. That's the support that we're talking about. Kingdom Music, man, y'all the best for real. So thank y'all for tuning in. Those who just came on, don't worry about it. When I end this will be available on our YouTube channels. Plus, tomorrow it'll be available on Spotify and Apple Music. Once again, big shout out to our partners, the Kingdom Coffee Co. Check them out at thekingdomcoffeeco.com. Coffee with a cause. Every time you buy a bag of this coffee, it goes towards our farmers in Guatemala, where we get the coffee beans from. And we say coffee with the cause because we believe in farmer empowerment. So when you buy the coffee, what that is doing is providing a safe and healthy work environment for the people there, and also providing financial literacy classes to the people in Guatemala. So make sure you check out thekingdomcoffeeco.com. Tomorrow I will have a 10% discount for y'all to purchase the coffee in kingdommusic.org. Thank you to everyone that was tuning in. I feel like we hit a good milestone. We had about 420 people that were live here with us. And I can't wait for y'all to check out Blue Miracle. Big shout out to Chris Dowling. This was Coffee with Diego, season 1, episode number 3. God bless y'all. Let's cue that intro music one more again. Peace.